I am taking this opportunity to give an introduction on Vivek College of Commerce and Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship. Vivek Education Society is a charitable institution set up in year 1961. Had established Vivek Vidyalaya in 1962. Had followed it up by starting junior college. Vivek College of Commerce has started in year 1986. It is recognized as vibrant institution continuously working for cause of education. Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship was started on 11 December 2018. Vivek College of Commerce is first college in Maharashtra to inaugurate an incubation center under MITSC, Maharashtra Information Technology Support Center. We have registered ourselves under Ministry of Education, Institution, Innovation Council and have also completed and approved all our quarter 1 and 2 activities. Under IIC, we also have Atal Tinkering Lab schemes in which we do mapping in different schools. So now, let us know about our keynote speaker, Mr. Abhishek Kar, sir. He is four-time TED speaker and four-time Joe Stock speaker. He is an investor, stock trader, and influencer. He is also the author of books. He is one of the most followed writers globally on subject of financial market and stock market. He has shared space with legends like Jack Swagger and several Australians, Singapore-based traders in international online conference. He is proud recipient of more than 101 national awards and has been invited by many reputed institutions. He has also been honored at India's biggest auditorium, Mahatma Mandir, where Make in India campaign was started by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So far, he is successfully trained more than 40,000 people in various areas of stock market, wealth management, investing, derivatives, trading, etc. Sir, now over to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this warm and cordial welcome. And also, so sorry I got delayed by 2 minutes, but being an Indian, I guess we hold that sort of right. And I'm going to make sure. I know the organizing team must be in little panic, so sorry for that. But I am actually preparing you for business hazards. These kind of things also happen in businesses also. Suddenly, a lot of things might go upright, and you got to be ready. So I just want a clarity. If you guys can hear me, just raise your hands if you can hear me. It would be amazing. Amazing. So what we're going to understand today, I'm going to straight dive into the topic that is business model canvas. And in between the entire session, I'm going to be really blunt because being an angel investor, I've invested so far in 11 odd companies. I don't invest outrightly into a lot of companies. I do get a lot of proposals, close to maybe 100 proposals, out of which I might have invested into 10 or 11 because there are certain strict levels of scrutiny which I do. And based on my experience of investing into them, because in one of them, I am fellow investors with people like Kunal Shah. How many of you know who is Kunal Shah? Just raise your hands. Kunal Shah of Cred. You guys should be knowing because we are understanding an entrepreneurial landscape. In one of the firms, there is my fellow investor is Mr. Nikhil Kamath and Nitin Kamath. And for those people who don't know, they are running the biggest bootstrapped company. That is, what is the name? Can somebody tell me loudly out there? Let's make it interactive. What are Nitin and Nikhil Kamath running? Which company are they running? In case you guys know. Okay, let me help you out. That's Zerodha. You must have heard of Zerodha, right? So Zerodha is the company which these two gentlemen are running, and that is bootstrapped. For those people who don't know what is bootstrapped, I'll just mix a bit of Hindi and English. Is it okay to everyone? Yes or no? Perfect. So bootstrapped is basically जब आप अपने friends and family से सारा पैसा लेके कोई कंपनी चलाते हो. So Zerodha पूरी तरीके से friends, family और अपने बीच से ही लेके चलाई गई है. They have not taken a single rupee from the market, from the investors or the VCs. So the very first thing which I want to make it clear, even before we start with the business model, for all the students aspiring to run a startup in the near future or run a business in the future or even do enter entrepreneurship within the company, ये सबसे बड़ी myth हो चुकी है आज के टाइम की कि आपको अगर बड़ा बिजनेस बनाना है तो उसके लिए आपको इन्वेस्टर का पैसा स्टार्टिंग से लेना होगा. दैट इज द बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक. सिंपल सी बात है. इफ योर प्रोडक्ट इज नॉट, it doesn't have a key component, if it doesn't have the IT resources required, if it doesn't have a good management team, no matter आप कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट उठा लो मार्केट से, आपकी कंपनी नहीं चलेगी. सो आई एम गोइंग टू ट्राई टू मेक इट इंटरैक्टिव. आप लोग यस नो में बीच बीच में को मैन पावर चाहिए, जस्ट शो योर, रेज योर हैंड्स इफ यू फील कि हाँ मैन पावर तो लगेगा. एक बार हाथ दिखाइए. बिल्कुल लगेगा. क्या आपको नहीं लगता दैट बिफोर यू स्टार्ट सम बिजनेस थोड़ा पैसा तो एटलीस्ट लगेगा? भले ही खुद का लगाएं, पापा का लगाएं, किसी का भी लगाएं, लगेगा. ठीक है. डोंट यू थिंक कि जब भी हम बिजनेस चालू करेंगे तो हमको जरूरी हो जाता है, इट बिकम्स रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट हम अपनी कस्टमर की नीड्स पूरी करें? लगता है? यस और नो? बिल्कुल लगता है. So you got to understand. So Alex and Yves decided that there are certain parameters and certain things which each one of us need to follow in order to generate a business. तो वहीं पर उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि we are going to come up with a concept of business model canvas या business model generation. Now let me tell you, they laid down a foundation, but from time to time this keeps on revising. मतलब सिंपल शब्दों में अगर कहूं तो आज से अगर उन्होंने 20 साल पहले कुछ चीजें इसमें इनकॉर्पोरेट करी तो आने वाले 20 इयर्स में चेंज होगा. कैसे? यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट बिजनेस इज अ वेरी डायनेमिक थिंग. इट इज मोर लाइक अमीबा. हमने साइंस में अमीबा पढ़ा है, करेक्ट? अमीबा क्या करता है? अपना शेप और साइज बदलता रहता है. लाइकवाइज जो बिजनेस लैंडस्केप होता है, द एंटायर बिजनेस लैंडस्केप कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग. एंड टू बिल्ड अप अ पर्सपेक्टिव, लेट मी टेल यू हाउ. 25 years back, if you would have told that I want to become or work into a digital marketing agency, आपके ऊपर लोग हंसते, बिकॉज इस तरह का कंसेप्ट ही नहीं था. वो बोलते कि तुम लुट जाओगे, बर्बाद हो जाओगे. Today we know, in the age of digitalization, in fact today we are having this session because of a digital Zoom platform. Just imagine, आज के टाइम पे so many sources of income have opened up, so many entrepreneurial opportunities have opened up because of digital world. तो आज से 20 साल पहले शायद बिजनेस एक्यूमेन में ये चीज नहीं होती थी. Likewise, pre 2016 or 17, while the accounting softwares were being made for the business people, that didn't had the obligation of putting something like GST. तब VAT चलता था, कैलकुलेशन में GST नहीं आता था. लेकिन just imagine those people who said कि we won't change as per the time, उनको जीएसटी अगर इनकॉर्पोरेट नहीं करते तो आज वो बहुत सारे केसेस में उलझे रहते हैं. एग्रीड? यस और नो? जस्ट रेज योर हैंड्स. डू यू एग्री दैट यू हैव टू चेंज विद टाइम टू टाइम? सो प्लीज मेक श्योर कि बिजनेस एंड बिजनेस कैनवस इज नॉट समथिंग which you just read from a particular book. Obviously we are going to take references, but you read from a particular group and this is going to stay alive for the next 20-30 years. You have to evolve with time. So what is this business model canvas? Business model canvas is nothing but you are pictorially trying to visualize your startup idea in a business model. So if at all there has to be one particular takeaway from this session, that should be all the students who are sitting over here listening attentively. Once you go to your dorm, once you go to your house, once you go to your hostel, wherever you go after this session, maybe end of the day, if at all you have a business idea in your brain, you have to develop this business model. See, the sad part is a lot of people, they come attend these sessions, they get pumped up like Sandeep Maheshwari sir ka show dekh liya, aaj to pura aag laga denge, ye kar denge. But the moment they actually go and sit down, they suddenly realize, अरे पहले प्रोजेक्ट कर लेते हैं, पहले कल का पढ़ लेते हैं. Just allocate 15-20 minutes towards your business idea, because that is going to define how serious you are. So business model canvas is basically how you're going to visualize your entire business model. There are certain elements and there are 9 key elements around which the entire business model canvas revolves around. So if you know all these 9 key elements, believe me, half of your battle is won. So first of all, let's be honest with all of you. I'm not asking you today, but how many of you after this session in the next 5 days are going to create their own business model canvas? Just raise your hands. How many of you are going to create their own business model canvas in the next 7 hands? There's one guy at the back who reluctantly is trying to raise his hands and others are a little shy. But see, that's the difference. And then we actually question ourselves that why in a landscape of such entrepreneurial people, only few people succeed, because a lot of us are not ready to take that initiative. So I would insist, कुछ नहीं तो एक pen paper लेके कोशिश जरूर करना, भले ही 5 मिनट के लिए सही. That is going to help you out. So before we go out, the power of MBA is from where I've derived this thing. These are essentially the 8 components, but there is 9th component around the customer satisfaction, which we are going to cover one by one. So there are value propositions, there is customer relationships, channels, there is customer segments, the kind of segments you're going to deal with. I'm going to give you a few examples also, don't worry. What are the key resources? What are the costs? What are the revenue streams? And what are the key parameters? Ideally, the business model canvas suggests that if you know all these particular parameters, अगर आप एक plan बनाते हैं जिसमें ये सारी चीजें होती हैं, that means your plan is completely ready and it is executed. अब आप में से एक सवाल होगा कि अरे सर, धीरू भाई अंबानी ने कभी थोड़ी बनाया होगा बिजनेस मॉडल कैनवस, या फिर लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल अजीम प्रेम जी जो विप्रो चलाते हैं उन्होंने थोड़ी बनाया होगा, या फिर इलॉन मस्क जो दिन भर ट्वीट करते हैं उन्होंने थोड़ी बनाया होगा. तो यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, that all these people had reached the pinnacle because of hit and trial. उन्होंने बहुत experiments किए. If you dig deep, a lot of people, how many of you are a fan of Elon Musk? Just raise your hands. कितने लोग Elon Musk के fan हैं? बहुत बढ़िया. If you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, होना चाहिए. So if you go deep and read about his biography, I had read his biography long back. There are certain mentions, for example, in the year 2007 and 2008, when the subprime crisis happened and the entire world was on the verge of collapsing, उनकी 3 companies थी. All the 3 companies were on the verge of bankruptcy. जो आज आप टेस्ला टेस्ला कर रहे हैं, जो आप स्पेस एक्स कर रहे हैं, जो उनकी एक रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी को जनरेट करने वाली कंपनी थी, ये तीनों बैंक्रप्सी पे थी. All the investors at that point of time had said कि बॉस, we are not going to, भले ही प्रूवन ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड आपके पास भले ही प्रूवन ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड नहीं है, डोंट वरी, उसने रिस्क लिया, उसने अपनी कंपनी को बचाया, उसने हिट एंड ट्रायल बहुत किया. बट डोंट यू थिंक हम दूसरों की गलती से सीख के बेटर बिजनेस कर सकते हैं? यस और नो? Don't you think by learning from the mistakes of others? So business model canvas is based on the hit and trials by several businessmen, and that is where this model has been created. Now, one by one, we are going to understand the entire 9 components, because this entire business model canvas is about these components only. पहला आता है वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशंस, एंड आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू सम एग्जांपल्स आल्सो व्हिच विल हेल्प यू टू क्लियर सर्टेन योर डाउट. सबसे पहले क्या होता है कि अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम व्हेन वी आर कमिंग विद अ बिजनेस आइडिया, आप में से भी काफी बार ऐसा हो रहा होगा, आपके दिमाग में एक बिजनेस आइडिया आया, यू आर सिटिंग इनटू अ पार्टी विद योर फ्रेंड्स, अरे यार ये कर लिया ना तो मजा आ जाएगा. बट व्हाट वी फेल टू रियलाइज इज, लिसन केयरफुली, जो चीज हमें अच्छी लगती है जरूरी नहीं वो कस्टमर के लिए भी सही हो. I repeat, anything which we like, which we feel we are going to get a value, doesn't mean it's going to help everyone. एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल देते हैं, प्लीज डोंट माइंड, बट कॉलेज डेज में, एटलीस्ट हमारे कॉलेज डेज में थोड़ा बहुत कुछ स्टूडेंट्स करते थे, तो आई एम नॉट सो श्योर इफ इट हैपेंस टुडे एज वेल. सो एग्जाम्स के पहले सबसे ज्यादा बिजनेस एक ही जन का चलता था, और वो होता था फोटोकॉपियर का. पता नहीं पूरी दुनिया लगी रहती थी फोटोकॉपी फोटोकॉपी पे. सडनली पीपल यूज टू रियलाइज कि नोट्स तो है नहीं, और सबसे ज्यादा डिमांड हो जाता था टॉप 3 टॉपर्स का. मतलब सडनली एवरीवन यूज टू बिकम फ्रेंड्स ऑफ दीज टॉपर्स. यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड, अगर मान लीजिए आप ये सोचे कि यार ये तो बहुत तगड़ा बिजनेस है, मैं एक फोटोकॉपी मशीन बना के अपने कॉलेज में लगा दूंगा और बहुत सारा पैसा बनाऊंगा. कुछ लोग दिमाग में बत्ती भी जल रही होगी कि हाँ वी कैन डेफिनेटली डू दिस थिंग, दैट्स अ गुड आइडिया. बट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, there would be a limited number of people who would be doing that. Sooner or later there would be competition out there, plus there would be cost, plus you have to focus on your own education also, plus is it going to give value to a lot of masses? Maybe not, उतना ज्यादा नहीं, उससे बेटर आइडिया हो सकता है. तो अभी आपने सिर्फ अपनी प्रॉब्लम के कारण सोचा कि यार ये सबको वैल्यू देगा. इट कुड बी अ बिजनेस, इट कुड बी अ स्मॉल बिजनेस, बट नॉट अ ह्यूज स्केल बिजनेस. Likewise, a friend of mine actually came up to me. So there is a place called Ichal Karanji. I don't know if you have heard of this particular place, which is known for its cloths. So uske father is a good merchant. So he said, yaar, my parents who are into business, in fact, the entire fraternity over there, the Marwadis, they actually do the calculation manually. What if I create a software which is going to bridge the gap and that is going to help me out, and I'm going to charge a subscription? The only question I asked that at max, what is the population in Ichal Karanji and how many such traders you would find over there? And he said at max 5,000 people. And that was the answer. आप सिर्फ 5,000 लोगों को इससे सर्व करोगे, because once you get into the city, there are complicated softwares like Tally, there are easy softwares like Zoho, which are anyways going to help to do similar kind of things. Just because it's a village, sooner or later there would be other competitors also who are having money. तो आप हमेशा सोचो कि large scale पे आप value कैसे दे सकते हो. Second, there would be, so let's take an example. You would simply understand that vada pav, which is very famous in Mumbai, In fact, for a major part of my life during my youngster days, because I didn't have much money, I used to have vada pav. So vada pav used to cost 3 or 4 rupees at that time. These days, I guess 10 to 15 rupees. But you got to understand, while I used to eat vada pav, I used to think that, wow, it's so easy. I just need to, in the near future, I'll have a vada pav and I'm going to earn a lot of money, because somebody told me that the Karjat vada pav is actually earning 50,000 a day. And I was blown away that, oh my God, ये vada pav बेच के इतना कमा रहा है तो हम भी vada pav वाला बनेंगे. But sooner or later, you got to understand there are so many ifs and buts which actually happen, because I saw some of my own friends went to IT, left their job, started a vada pav, and they failed. Why? Because they couldn't do it 10 times better than the existing model. The Karjat vada pav became famous because of its chutney. The Mumbai vada pav is famous because of its taste. A lot of other cities have tried to replicate, they have failed to do that. The only startup which probably got some amount of success was Goli Vada Pav. You got to ask yourself, even if the business model already exists over there, how you can actually deliver 10 times better. So Amazon worked already. Amazon, when it came into the market, eBay was there into delivering things to customer. Amazon said, I'll make my customer service 10 times better. How many of you order from Amazon? Just raise your hands. At some point of time have ordered. So won't you guys agree that Amazon, if you have to refund or return anything, it happens with ease? With Prime, the delivery is faster. Won't you agree? Yes, that does happen, correct? So you got to understand that they focused on 10 times better value proposition. That is precisely how you got to work. And then you got to answer, what problems are you solving for the customer? So a lot of times we think that this is a very big problem, but think from others' perspective, is it a really big problem? That is how value proposition is defined. Once you define the value proposition, you move towards something called customer segments. आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि मेरे customer segment क्या है. The biggest mistake which anyone can do in today's time is thinking that everybody is my customer. I repeat, ab kaise, let me prove this thing. And remember, we are here just to understand some real life case study. How many of you are ready to listen to some true, blunt, but real life case study? Just raise your hands. True, but blunt. Okay. So let's talk about, and please don't make a controversy out of it, because he's a friend of mine, and I'm going to talk about none other than MBA Chaiwala. And I can see some smiles over there. Let's not take it otherwise, but try to analyze from a business perspective what might have gone wrong. First mistake, 40 rupees tea for a normal person. Just imagine, you might go over there once or twice, but how many of you think that we should definitely pay for a 40 rupees tea? Of course, no, right? No one would agree that for a regular basis. That was the initial price point. Second, MBA Chaiwala Praful created his entire brand on the basis of one thing, that is targeting aspiration. People from villages, people from tier 2 cities who wanted to aspire and become a very big tea vendor, correct? Now, just imagine if he goes to the cities and if he's using his image, a lot of people into the city started thinking that why should we drink a tea over here when we can get a better tea for 10 rupees or 15 rupees or a cut chai for 5 rupees at a lot of places. That's the second thing. Third, the franchisee model. The franchisee model was sold to aspiring people who couldn't even afford the franchisee for 8 lakh or 16 lakh. So a lot of people took loans, and that is what backfired. On the other hand, there was another brand competing with it, which survived well. He is also a friend of mine. So that is Anubhav, and that is Chai Sutta Bar. So Chai Sutta Bar cleverly did one thing. They didn't raise the prices of their tea. Even if you go to any of their stalls or their shops, the tea is very nominal. So they realize that customer segment doesn't want to spend much. They are normal people. But how do they earn money is through their premium things. Sandwich for 120 rupees, pizza 200 rupees, milkshake for this thing. This upselling is where he is earning money. So that 10 rupee tea actually brings the footfall. When a lot of people see that, oh, itni bheed hai, matlab kuch to hoga, because we being Indians always think ki bheed hai, matlab acha hoga, irrespective of whatever happens. So the moment they actually saw ki haan, there is a lot of crowd, people started going over there, they started sipping tea, and sirf chai peete peete ek ghante koi nikalega nahi. Acha bhaiya wo ban maska de dena, acha bhaiya ye dena. So you got to understand that everyone cannot be your customer. Twitter right now has defined its customer segment. For Twitter, anyone who wants to be into politics or into controversy, that's the best place to be. So Twitter is there. LinkedIn for professionals. They have defined only hardcore professionals who want to grow. And in case you guys, I'm going to share a few nuggets of wisdom in the between also. If you guys are not on LinkedIn, please make sure you are there, because students have to be there if they want to enhance their probability of good placements. So build up a good profile on LinkedIn and be there. In fact, I was been approached via LinkedIn itself. So that is second. Third, if you talk about Instagram, so Instagram customer segment is pretty defined, that most of the people are between 20 to 35. Why? Because they just need entertainment. That's why even my content distribution across the platform is different. YouTube is a serious content, Instagram is a very chilled content, LinkedIn is a professional content, Twitter, even though I don't want controversy, but it becomes a controversial content. So you got to understand that segments have to be defined. You have to identify the right size, age, location, etc. Then you have to define the channels. Now, channels doesn't mean a TV channel, channels of distribution. You got to understand. So let's take an example. Just tell me, if I have to sell a Mercedes Benz, don't you think, just raise your hand, should if I should sell it through physical means, just raise your hands if I should sell it through physical means, through some a garage, or you think I should be selling Mercedes Benz through Instagram? Which one is better? The first one, correct? The first option, that is, you need to have proper place where we can demonstrate the qualities, that is better. So a channel of distribution for luxurious goods, for most of the cases, cannot be online. Even today, most of the ladies sitting over here, if you go with your family to shop jewelry, even though there are certain online areas, you don't prefer to buy more on online, correct? You try to go to that shop, to that jewelry shop, look, feel that into your hand, and then you try to buy. So this is what channel of distribution means. The jewelers also know that branding can be done online, but at the end, the sale has to be done through a physical store, for which we need to spend. So you got to identify what product or service I'm trying to bring, and accordingly, you have to find the channel of distribution. If it is a physical product like a food or something which has to be consumed within 24 hours, it has to be a physical store or a restaurant. If it is a food product which stays on the shelf life for 30 to 40 days, it could be online. For example, you these days people have started ordering, Kit Kat or sweets or chocolates through online if they have a bigger shelf life. But for most of the people, even today, if they have to buy sweets, they actually go to a normal shop, a food shop. That is where they actually try to find the fresh one. So try to identify your channel, this thing. Then you got to understand how much awareness you need to create. So for example, a lot of people still don't understand AI. आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इज स्टिल नेम ऑल दे नो इज कि एआई आएगा और हम सबके जॉब खा जाएगा इसके अलावा दे डोंट नो मच ऑफ द थिंग्स यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड टुडे if someone launches an AI related product they need to create a lot of awareness they need to launch a lot of awareness campaigns if they want to sell a product around that but wahin par if I want to sell a vada pav it doesn't need a lot of awareness because by now everyone knows vada pav is a dish which most of the Mumbaikars eat. It is tasty. It is having decent amount of pav, a vada in that, and with chutney, it looks good. So you got to understand that is how you define your channels of distribution, and then follows customer relationship. For those people who want to understand who are the best in customer relationships, I would insist you people to go on Google search on how Amazon built its customer relationship. Let me just help you out to understand one simple example. In the initial days, काफी लोगों को लगता है ना बिजनेस करना बड़ा आसान है इनकी लाइफ इतनी they don't realize that the kind of sacrifices these people, the true entrepreneurs, have actually taken place. जब Amazon चालू हुआ था, when Amazon actually kick started, तो Jeff Bezos used to sit long in the night, दो चार बजे तक रात को बैठते थे. Individually, he used to pack books and then he used to dispatch. इंडिविजुअली अकेले बैठ बैठ के पैक करते थे बुक्स और फिर वो डिस्पैच करते थे रिटर्न आता था फिर वो डिस्पैच करते थे एंड देन अगर कस्टमर ने कोई कंप्लेन किया हंड्रेड्स ऑफ ईमेल्स द ओनर ऑफ द कंपनी यूज्ड टू रिस्पॉन्ड बैक दैट इज हाउ दे बिल्ट अप द फाउंडेशन दे रियलाइज कस्टमर इज द किंग इन 21st सेंचुरी कस्टमर हमारा माई दाता है एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे लेट्स से इफ यू ऑल गो टू अ रेस्टोरेंट as long as the food is good service is good perfect the day they start reducing their customer relationship और वो बोलता है आपको अगर खाना पसंद नहीं आया आप बोलते हो यार खाना पसंद नहीं है तो बोले यार मैडम आप देख लो हमको तो ये ऐसा बनता है आप देख लो don't do you think you would again go to that restaurant no in fact you would tell 10 other people कि यार बहुत ही बेकार रेस्टोरेंट है, डोंट गो. सो कस्टमर रिलेशनशिप इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. So when you are creating a business canvas, it's very important that there are some predefined things out there. You should have a person, a customer number out there, जिससे contact कर. Initial days, it has to be you only because you can't hire a lot of employees. Then do you have a self-service offer? What kind of offerings you are having? So for example, I'm talking about automobiles. So automobiles do have warranty, guarantee. Then if you go to cleaning services, they do have something self-service offers as well. You need to understand, is there a support hotline or a chat? At least with the advent of AI now, a lot of these things can be happening at a cheaper rate also. Like earlier, anything which used to cost maybe 10,000 a month now can go as low as 1,200 a month with the help of AI, but you need to dig in how that can be done. Which media channels do you use to keep in touch with the customer? So Twitter for a lot of corporate houses is a very good place जहां पर कि वो रखते हैं अपने customers के साथ this thing. And I myself have experienced a lot of times. So for example, once I was there in a hotel in Delhi, the service was not up to date. I just had put up a tweet, and they gave me a partial refund, plus they got me a voucher through which I could get a discount in the near future with an apology. You got to understand, because Twitter, a lot of things spread, a hatred also spreads quite fast. A lot of companies don't want that kind of dent. Let me tell you one example how bad a PR can do a damage. So Taj, Hotel Taj, everyone knows which is Hotel Taj in Mumbai. Just raise your hands if you know. Perfect. So Hotel Taj had a very bad experience a few years back because of some customer relationship. So a foreigner was there in Hotel Taj, and he found a mouse, a rat in his closet, because of which he created a havoc. He tweeted that was covered by a lot of news house, and that created so much of bad impression that even Hotel Taj was literally scared. I mean, just imagine Taj Hotel, for which people are ready to pay thousands and lakhs, और ये customer relationship में गलती कर दी है. Suddenly they started working on their customer relationship. They paid entire sum to this gentleman who faced this thing. They had to run a lot of PR campaigns, and since then they have been very particular about the customer relationships, because they know one fine bad review and everything can change. That's why on Amazon also, when you go and purchase a product, a lot of these brands are trying to build up good relationships by asking you to deliberately, hey, you use the product, please give a customer a review. Likewise, on Play Store, if you are actually downloading an application, you may not realize why they're asking for these reviews. They're asking because you are actually giving them a validation that yes, their products is good. Followed by the revenue streams. Let's face it, unless and until you're running a business with an intent to generate revenues, even social businesses won't survive for long. Social businesses are the ones which are doing more of social work. They are trying to uplift the society. वो लोग समाज सेवा करना चाहते हैं, but उनको भी अगर आगे टिकना है तो उसके लिए उनको revenue streams बनाने पड़ेंगे. This is one area which I, as an investor, focus the most, and I can tell you most of the investors would be focused on this particular area. Because at the end, एक investor भी जब आता है आपकी कंपनी में, उसका इंटेंट केवल एक ही है. The intention is to make return on investment. He is thinking that today, if I am putting 10 rupees on you, I want to make 50 rupees after maybe 7-8 years. Or if I am putting 10 rupees, I want to make at least 20 rupees in the next 30 years, 3 years. So you got to understand that revenue streams is the place. Revenue मतलब क्या होता है? पैसा कितना generate कर रहे हैं is the key area. I've seen a lot of people who come up with a very good business idea, but they fail to realize that it's very difficult to monetize that. A recent example of monetization could be how Twitter has done. So Twitter changed its name to X. They realized that when Instagram came up with a concept called threads, थ्रेड्स में हर कोई चले गया और आज कोई भी यूज नहीं कर रहा. आई प्रिडिक्टेड दैट ऑन द फर्स्ट डे इटसेल्फ कि ये अनइंस्टॉल हो जाएगा, लोग भूल जाएंगे, एंड दैट इज प्रिसाइजली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. इट वाज नंबर 1 ऑन द प्ले स्टोर एट द फर्स्ट डे फॉर फर्स्ट 10 days, then it came to 25, 35, and now it is somewhere else. So when Elon Musk saw that Mark Zuckerberg came with threads, although he sued him to the court, but the fantastic thing he did is कि अगर मुझे अपने यूजर को रिटेन करना, मोनेटाइजेशन कर देता हूं, तो जिस जिसके पास ब्लू टिक है, जिस जिसके पास 5 million इंप्रेशन है, उसको पैसे मिलेंगे. नाउ द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग, ही इनिशियली इंट्रोड्यूस 15 million इंप्रेशंस, व्हिच ही रियलाइज कि काफी लोगों के पास नहीं होगा, तो 5 million कर दिया. नाउ सी हिज स्मार्ट क्लेवर गेम. Yearly X cost 6,800 rupees. Everyone is not able to generate 5 million impressions, but thinking that I'll generate 5 million impressions, everyone applied for Blue, Twitter Blue. So Elon Musk got a chunk of revenues through Twitter Blue, and he's going to use the same thing to pay 10% of the people. So ultimately सिर्फ top वाले ही पैसे कमाने वाले हैं और Elon Musk कमाने वाले हैं. So Elon Musk generated a new revenue stream other than ads. Likewise, you got to understand that when you're starting up a business, you need to think what could be the multiple revenue streams. So once I had visited Parleji's, what do we call, factory. So the interesting part is they have a very good way of generating revenue streams, because I was always surprised how they can keep the cost so low and still sustain for a longer period of time. Although the Ville Parle one unfortunately had to go through rough times, but the others, how they were surviving, that was interesting. So what they said is कि जो बिस्किट बन जाता है वो तो पार्ले जी के पैकेट में पैक होके वो पार्ले जी के हिसाब से जाता है. जो थोड़ा सा ढंग से नहीं बनता है, that also goes into a different section where it is molded into a different chocolate जो थोड़ा सा thin होगा. तो उनके जो बिस्किट ढंग के नहीं बनते वो भी कोई दूसरी कैटेगरी का वो बिस्किट बना देते हैं. उनके R&D लैब्स भी हैं. एंड उसके बाद जो बहुत खराब हो जाते हैं, that also doesn't go waste. They have a lot of cows out there into their ranches. They actually serve it to the cows because they know कि इसमें वैसे भी मिल्क प्रोडक्ट है, कहीं ना कहीं इनको थोड़ा हेल्दी मिलेगा तो मिल्क प्रोडक्शन अच्छा होगा और आगे चल के ये चीजें होंगी. सो दिस इज एग्जैक्टली हाउ दे आर ट्राइंग टू यूटिलाइज द एंटायर थिंग. उन्होंने हर चीज पे बना के रखा हुआ है कि बिस्किट खराब हो गया तो भी रेवेन्यू है, बिस्किट और खराब हो गया तो भी हमारा पैसा बच रहा है बिकॉज हम गाय को खिला रहे हैं. तो इवन व्हाइल यू आर रनिंग अप अ बिजनेस, थिंक आप कितने रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स बना सकते हो. टुडे Instagram has multiple revenue sources. It is running through ads, it is running through monetization. अभी दो है, आगे और हो सकता है. Likewise, if you talk about, let's say, Amazon. So Amazon also has created multiple income streams. Amazon Prime कर दिया है, Amazon Music उसको भी monetize कर देगा. Now Amazon Mini आया है जिसको sooner or later, mark my words, it is going to monetize. Then it has come with ads between Prime. Then it has come with Amazon जो डिलीवरी करता है उसका, प्लस प्राइम कार्ड हो गया, गिफ्ट वाउचर हो गया. सो जस्ट इमेजिन दे आर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू इंक्रीज देयर रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स, एंड दैट इज प्रिसाइजली. एंड द बिगेस्ट मिथ इन इंडियन कंट्री, इन आवर कंट्री, इज कोई भी ज्यादा स्ट्रीम्स ऑफ इनकम करता है तो वो बंदा फ्रॉड है या बंदी फ्रॉड है. दैट इज बैड. लेट्स फेस इट, इन आवर कंट्री मेकिंग मनी इज सच अ बिग सिन दैट शुड नॉट बी. वी आर अ स्टेटस ड्रिवन सोसाइटी रादर देन अ वेल्थ ड्रिवन सोसाइटी. हमको स्टेटस चाहिए. बच्चा आईएएस क्यों बने? बिकॉज स्टेटस मिलता है, लाल बत्ती चलेगी. But no one is thinking that the country would only grow if we become a wealth driven society. If you look into the most successful entrepreneurs, they don't just grow by themselves, they also help others to grow. The classic example is Tatas. Tatas are the one who actually grew the entire city of Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur कुछ भी नहीं था. JRD टाटा इन सब ने लिए, इन्होंने बोला अच्छा हमारी कंपनी में लेबर्स आएंगे, लेबर्स के लिए रहने के लिए जगह चाहिए, जगह बनाई. अच्छा उनके बच्चे होंगे, उनको स्कूल चाहिए, स्कूल्स बनाए. अच्छा ये लोग बीमार होंगे तो हॉस्पिटल बनाए. That is how the entire ecosystem builds up. So got to understand that revenue streams is not bad. You need to understand whether you're going to go a subscription one, commission based, maintenance based, license based. This is exactly you're going to introduce this. Then the key partners. So you got to understand that when you're creating the business canvas, on the left hand side, you're actually going to have the key partners. Now key partners कौन होते हैं जो आपके साथ interact करेंगे? So let's take an example. If you open what do we call, a restaurant. If you open a restaurant, so you will have multiple key partners. Pehla, the person who is going to provide you the place to run that the restaurant, that is the number one. Second, the supplier of raw materials. For example, if you want to run the restaurant, you will require onions, tomatoes. I know tomatoes are expensive, but still you would require those. Then you would require a lot of other materials. That's the second thing. Third, if you are trying to use out a restaurant, there would be another one. For example, someone who would be giving you credit line for using all the services. Then you would require furniture, fixture, etc. So these would be the key partners while you're running. On the other hand, if you're running an e-commerce store, who would be your key partners? AWS, because that is going to provide you the server, Amazon Web Service. Then you would have, maybe the Facebook ads, which you got to run. So that's the second thing. The third thing is the employees who are going to work with you. Fourth thing is maybe the cost providers who are going to reduce the cost of services which are going to sell on your e-commerce website. तो ये सब आपके की पार्टनर्स होते हैं. तो आप जब बिजनेस मॉडल कैनवस बनाते हैं, when you are trying to create a business model canvas, you need to consider the key partners who are going to work around with you. And then comes the key resources. Now these key resources actually differ from model to model. हर मॉडल पे ये अलग रहेगा, किसी के लिए कुछ रिसोर्सेज रहेंगे, किसी के लिए कुछ और रिसोर्सेज रहेगा. सो लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. इफ यू आर वर्किंग समथिंग ऑन द हेल्थ एरिया, तो उसके लिए जरूरी होगा कि आपको लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा एडिक्वेट. अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल दे रन इनटू लीगल ट्रबल्स बिकॉज दे आर रनिंग सम. सो दे वुड से कि यार ये ना हेल्थ मैंने मेडिसिन निकाला है जिसको मैं खा के ना तंदुरुस्त फील करता हूँ. There are a lot of regulations like the FDA regulation which you need to comply with, the US FDA. There are a lot of things. तो जब तक आप वो नहीं करेंगे, sooner or later someone might sue you, and the penalty would be way much bigger than your entire company's valuation. Likewise, let's say if you're providing some unique thing, you probably need to have a patent for it. If you're providing, let's say, a burger, if you have a good brand outlets, for example, burgers are being sold by everyone, but still Jumbo King and McDonald's are selling the most number of burgers in our country, McDonald's being the number one. Why? Because they built up a brand. These are called intangible brands. Goodwill is an intangible brand. So these are the resources which you would require. If you're dealing with pets, so these days a lot of people are running businesses which revolve around pet dogs, pet cats. Until unless you don't have proper license, approval from veterinary, a few of these things, you might run into trouble. So that is another resource. Another resource, the key resource. Let's take an example. You decide I'm going to run an IT company. Then what would be the resources? You need to have computers, laptops, servers. You need to have proper desks for a lot of people. These are key resources without which you are not able to going to run. The technical infrastructure to run an IT company would be different than the technical infrastructure which would be required to run an FMCG company. तो आपको ये सारी चीजें डिसाइड करनी पड़ती है कि बॉस these would be the kind of resources which I would be requiring in order to run the company, because that is where you're going to understand, okay, what are the key activities which you got to follow. Now key activities are those day-to-day processes which are anyways going to be very important for any company. So for example, Amazon ऐसा नहीं कर सकता कि यार आज संडे ना, आज के दिन वेबसाइट बंद कर लेते, कल वापस चालू करेंगे, because they know that is going to create a lot of problems. So उनका one of the key activities है, irrespective of कितने भी employees को छुट्टी मिले, रोज कोई ना कोई होना चाहिए to manage and maintain the website. Likewise, customer delivery जैसे इंडियन पोस्टल सर्विस होती है, उनकी one of the key activities is adequate number of cars, adequate number of matadors being available to deliver these posts on a daily basis, irrespective of whatever the occasion might be. इसके कारण क्या होता है, the value proposition actually improves. You are able to retain the customer by doing these activities. So Amazon, or let's take an example, Zomato. Why Zomato is able to retain the customer? Because every 1 or 2 hours they will be like, अच्छा भूख लगी है, ये लो ऑफर, अच्छा मीठा खाना, ये लो गुलाब जामुन. So every time they are trying to serve based on the customer behavior, what these people are trying to look up to, and this is one of their key activities. They want to strike up a balance that हमको ये करना पड़ेगा. Zomato needs to market its new proposition discount offer almost every month, because they know कि अगर उन्होंने discounts देना बंद कर दिया तो लोग शायद ये लेना बंद कर देंगे, and they will go to the shop right away and they try to do this thing. And that is where they're able to have the resources. And finally, the cost structure, where you got to understand that cost, as we mentioned about reducing the cost, how I gave the example of Parleji. I particularly feel if you are running up a business, you got to understand that based on the cost, it is going to define how long the business is going to sustain. So in online models, we call something called cost per customer acquisition. What is cost per customer acquisition? That is where Flipkart faced the problem. So Flipkart, or I would rather say a better example would be Snapdeal. So Snapdeal used to be a very decent e-commerce based company, but their cost of customer acquisition was going way too higher. अर्थात 1,000 रुपए का अगर कस्टमर कुछ शॉपिंग करता है तो उसको एक्वायर करने is to reduce the cost of acquisition. And that is why a lot of these companies have organic models also. Ever wondered why such big companies are still focused on Instagram, Facebook, and this thing? Because they know it's the organic marketing ho jati hai without spending much. Because wahin par if they want to run ads and bring up people, that is going to be a little business model canvas. The key reason why the business model canvas has to be utilized is because that is going to help you to be focused, because now you know कि ये 9 सेक्शन है जिस पे मेरे को वर्क करना है. एक एक दिन बैठ के मैं वो 9 सेक्शन पे वर्क किया, मेरा प्लान बना, उसके बाद मैंने वर्क शुरू किया. क्योंकि वो कहानी है ना कि एक आरी होती है जिससे कि आप पेड़ काटते हो, तो एक जन होता है वो दिन भर काटता रहता है, काटता रहता है, काटता रहता है, काट नहीं पाता है. दूसरा बंदा होता है वो अपने आरी को शार्प करता है, और वो 1 घंटे में पेड़ को काट देता है. Why? Because this is what planning does to you. If you are actually having a proper planning with the help of business model canvas under these 9 categories, you will be more focused. It would be more easier for you. It would be better for you to communicate the goals not just to your existing employees, but even to the other stakeholders, including the investors. And plus, everyone right from the beginning would be able to see the same vision which you are trying to see for your business. सो अगर ये 9 पैरामीटर्स को आपने फॉलो किया तो आप ट्रांसपेरेंटली अपने स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ आगे बढ़ सकते हो एंड इवेंचुअली योर बिजनेस वुड ग्रो. So guys, that was all about business model canvas, which I've tried to summarize over here. I hope you like the presentation, and now I'm open for the questions as well.
Morning, sir. Myself, Ashish Nirmal, and my question is: my father is having a laundry business, and related to that business, I want to launch one app which work like same as Swiggy and Zomato. So, how I make that particular app related to that business?
You are a person from tech background or management background?
Management background.
Manage, no worries. So the very first thing, if you want to start up an app, is to have a robust IT team. आपके पास एटलीस्ट 1-2 बंदे होने चाहिए जिनको टेक समझ में आता होगा. You cannot outsource this thing if you really want to build up a bigger brand. You need to have an in-house person, because अगर आप outsource करते हैं, if you are trying to outsource, the problem would be, let's say your business is working well, one fine day when you have a lot of orders and that happens in the night and you have no one to look after it, तो फिर आपका पूरा बैड माउथिंग हो जाएगा. जितना आपने क्रेडिबिलिटी बनाया होगा वो चले जाएगा. So first you need to have someone who is good with IT. The best suggestion would be, take your time, look around your friend circle. You must be having friends outside your college also into IT background. Talk with them whom you trust and tell, यार बॉस एक ऐप बनाते हैं अपन, तू बंदा अच्छा है, and let's become partners into it if you trust that person a lot. Otherwise थोड़ा सा equity दीजिए. That should be the number one. Second thing is, since you mentioned your father has a good laundry business, which yes does have competition on online space, you must be knowing kuch apps hain, but you can still do better. How? In the sense is, it's all about, we talked about value proposition. आप उसमें क्या कर सकते हैं, initially to acquire the customers you can give certain deals. So for example, if you are giving 5 orders for the laundry, we are going to give you 10% discount, or if you are giving an Independence Day offer. So this is how you're going to acquire the customers. You need to think from innovative perspective how you can come up with this thing. Third thing, I would say in the initial stages, you don't need to go with the investor, but after a proof of concept, after you have certain user base, let's say even if the users are 2000 total अगर users ने use किया हुआ है, then you can certainly start approaching maybe angels or pre-angels round. Pre-angel तो निकल गया होगा. You would prefer an angel wherein you can think of raising maybe 1 crore or 2 crores out of it, and then that will help you to lay down the operations. You can get some employees out there and then move up. But my only suggestion would be, for this particular model, don't straight away go to the investor. First work on that model. Don't put up a lot of money right from the starting. Spend some money. Try to find out resources की ऐप सस्ते में थोड़ा कैसे बन सकता है, लेकिन रोबस्ट होना चाहिए. देखिए ऐप में क्या होता है, यूजर इंटरफेस इज एवरीथिंग. Always remember this one word in application user. Today if I have an app, for example threads जो निकला, थ्रेड्स को बहुत लोगों ने क्यों छोड़ दिया, बिकॉज इंटरफेस में उतना मजा नहीं आया. इंस्टाग्राम वाले जो ऑडियंस रहती है उनको चाहिए तड़क भड़क होना चाहिए, डांस होना चाहिए, नाच गाना होना चाहिए, विच वॉज मिसिंग इन थ्रेड्स. सो समवेयर और द अदर थ्रेड्स के पब्लिक वहीं से आई थी, वो चले गई. यूजर इंटरफेस इफ इट इज गुड, जोमैटो आप क्यों करते हो, क्योंकि उसका यूजर इंटरफेस अच्छा है. आप प्ले स्टोर में किसी भी ऐप पे जाते हो, उसका यूजर इंटरफेस अच्छा, तो वर्क ऑन यूजर इंटरफेस. द सेकंड थिंग इज वर्क ऑन गुड ऑफरिंग्स व्हिच कैन गिव यू गुड वैल्यू प्रपोजिशंस. Have a good tech person. That is what you need to do.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome. If anybody has a question they can ask, don't be shy. पूछा करो सवाल. No worries, no worries. I hope everyone is clear with the business model canvas. Yes. Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So she has a question.
Hello, sir. My name is Yashashri Rana. How do I choose a good business model?
Okay, straight question. First of all, a big round of applause for her. एक बार तालियां बजाई जाए. The reason is at least you took the initiative. You have to be proactive. This is something which every business person needs to have. So coming to your question, कि हमें business model कैसे choose किया जाए? So first of all, don't try to just choose a business model because कोई दूसरा आपका पड़ोसी सक्सेसफुल हो रहा है वो करके तो मुझे भी वो करना है, वो बहुत गलत होगा. The very first factor is how passionate you are towards a certain aspect. Let me give you an example. आज से कुछ साल पहले लोगों को लगता था डांस कर करके आप उसको बिजनेस नहीं बना सकते थे, बट लेटर ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आइडेंटिफाइड कि डांस में भी अगर पैशन है हम उसको बना सकते हैं. इंटरनेट आया, वायरलिटी मिली, दे स्टार्टेड द डांस वर्कशॉप्स. यू मस्ट हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल ऑन इंस्टाग्राम, दे आर रनिंग a lot of workshops out there. One video gets viral and you do this thing. वो उनने पैशन में किया ना. जस्ट इमेजिन वो ये सोचते कि नहीं यार डांस के लिए तो लोग नहीं आएंगे, मुझे ना बिजनेस के हाउ टू रन अ बिजनेस इसी पे कोर्स बनाना चाहिए, उसको बेचना चाहिए. वो नहीं चला पाते बिकॉज दे वोंट बी पैशनेट अबाउट इट. सो द वेरी फर्स्ट एलिमेंट यू नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट purpose you are really passionate about, to think about, and every person sitting over here might be having some skill. That is number one. Second, once you decide that this is something to be done, a lot of times, so let's say some guys might say कि हमें cars में interest है, but you got to understand, ask yourself, to set up a car company it would require maybe 200-300 crores to start off with, which we don't have. Capital intensive industry could be a final goal. तो थिंक ऑफ आप और नीचे कहां पे जा सकते हैं जिससे आप उस इंडस्ट्री से कनेक्टेड हो सकते हैं. तो मे बी कार के स्पेयर पार्ट्स भी नहीं हो रहे तो नट्स एंड बोल्ट्स का कुछ बिजनेस कर सकते हैं. हम यहां से सप्लाई लेके कहीं और दे सकते हैं. दिस वे वी आर गोइंग टू एंटर इनटू द मार्केट. दिस इज बेसिकली हाउ माइक्रोमैक्स आल्सो स्टार्टेड. So Micromax, basically what they were trying to do is they were working with Oppo, they were working with other companies for various components. They used to assemble that and give mobiles to a lot of customers. And then one fine day they realized कि हम already सारे लोगों से लेके सस्ता फोन बना ही रहे हैं. तब Samsung used to dominate the market and Apple तो बोले हम बनाते हैं. So Micromax came with the Canvas 1, Canvas 2, which sold like hotcakes. And that is precisely what they did. जो चीज कर रहे हैं उससे धीरे धीरे करें. So first, look out for passion. Second, whatever you are doing, whatever skills you are having, that second. Third, look for a broader market. Don't confine yourself कि मेरे सिर्फ 200 लोगों के लिए होगा. If you are thinking, think big. Think कि at least 1 लाख लोगों को इससे फायदा हो सकता है. And finally, look for a problem which is really persisting into the market. That is definitely going to help you out.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, we would like to conclude the session with a formal vote of thanks.
Sure.
Good morning, one and all. I, Nitya, deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this event. On the behalf of Vivek College of Commerce, I take this opportunity to propose humble thanks to all those who have directly or indirectly contributed to this session, organized by Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship by Vivek College of Commerce. At the outset, I wish to express my deep sense of gratitude to our chief guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Abhishek Kar, for accepting our invitation and giving up his valuable time. My heartfelt thanks to
Thank you so much. It was wonderful being a part of this thing, and I wish all you a lot of success in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
We also thank our respectable principal ma'am, Dr. Vijita Shetty ma'am, Anupama Bali ma'am, Anuja Narvankar ma'am, Dr. Tangadurai sir, and Tenzi ma'am for giving us this platform for conducting this successful event. I would like to thank our audience for coordinating throughout the session. Lastly, my heartfelt thanks to the team of Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship for making this event a great success. Thank you.